Nations is warning that achieving zero hunger by 2030 is in doubt, as 83 million to 132 million people may go hungry this year as a result of COVID-19.
The greatest number of undernourished people are in Asia, followed by Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean. According to a report by the UN, Africa would be home to more than half of the world's chronically hungry by 2030 on the basis of current trends.
Joining us now is the CEO of Farm Credit and X-Ray Farms, African Farmer Mogaji. African Farmer, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice
Good
to
morning.
see you. It's a long while now.
Thank you for having me. We were busy.
Yeah, no. And the point there is COVID-19 has kept you in the country compulsorily because you were traveling everywhere, but it's good to see you though. Now, the point there is this scare when WHO, when NCDC, when all of those agencies say that Africa is going to have one of the worst experiences when it comes to the fallout from COVID-19. We're focusing on food security and agriculture right now. But on the other hand, if you flip the coin, Africa seems to be home to the real agriculture. So how do we juxtapose this? How do we reconcile this?
Well, they speak in terms of potentials, not really what will really happen.
Okay.
So there's onus on us to decide what really happens.
All right.
So it's a projection. So bottom line is, yes, they've said that. But the thing is, will farmers produce? The answer is yes. So we need to actually try to reduce post-harvest losses. If you reduce what goes to losses, which is about 40% of production, then we would be able to feed ourselves. And so I really don't see that, because Africans have a way of, making things work that is not captured. But I don't see it that bad.
But when you look at agriculture and nutrition, Africa has always been in the eye of the storm, if I may use that word. Yes. When you look at the pictures, not just pictures, but the things we see around, the level of hunger, and the fact that a lot of persons do not have the purchasing power to buy this nutritious food. How does this come into the mix? Isn't this part of the consideration?
Yes, this is part of the consideration, and that's where I think the administrators around Africa generally, they're missing it. Instead of focusing on the nutrition, they focus on just the volume. So we're still volume driven as against nutrition. So take for instance, so when government is planning palliatives, they're looking at how many acres of land will be planted, not productivity per acre. So they give input seeds that would still give the farmers 1.5 tons. While in other countries you are getting 15 tons. But the seeds available also in the country, we have seeds that can deliver 6-7 tons. So they don't get the 6-7 ton seeds, they get the 1.5-2 ton seeds. So we need to focus more on nutrition and productivity, and not the number of people in production.
All right, if we have to look at the numbers and practical, what is at our disposal, what is that comparative advantage we have that we can deploy at this time? Because you were saying earlier that when we look at this projection, we can do something to turn it around. So what is that weapon in our arsenal that we have that we can deploy?
So unfortunately, there's misguided investments from government and private sector. So we have cassava, which we're still the largest producer in the world and also one of the largest consumers. But we don't find the resources going there, that nobody's competing with us. So we find things like corn. Like recently, there was a ban, yesterday or 2 days ago, there was a ban on importation of corn. But for me, the real thing in the field, the poultry farmers are likely to crash this year because the border closure last year seemed to present an opportunity to the farmers. So they sold. But we analyzed that January, February, when a lot of things can come in, they would have a challenge. So they had a challenge. Pandemic affected them. They lost a lot of eggs, chicken. Now the border closure, a chunk, I stand to be corrected, but over 50% of the feed is corn and comes in to the country. So instead of us funding the research institutes, the seed producers that would ensure that when a farmer plants, instead of getting 2, they are getting 7, we're funding that. And in World Bank FAO report 2005, 2008, and especially 2013, showed that when you ban these things, it does not increase productivity and production locally. The real farmers withdraw because many people will rush in and the real farmers will lose money. So the report is there that it has not worked. We don't know the information they're working with now, but bottom line is that the poultry sector will be affected. So we don't need to be robbing Peter to pay Paul. We focus on production and the livestock have a challenge.
Now, looking at the situation on the ground with regards to the report by WHO, Nigeria, for instance, has placed some states on red alert with regards to the rains, if I may put it that way. And because the report, according to WHO, the solutions will differ from country to country. Now, with the alert we have with regards to flood that is said to affect agriculture, roads, transportation, which are also needed in this aspect, how complex is it going to be if we are going to find solution?
Well, it's very complex. A greater portion of this challenge will be ushered in through climate change. So floods every year we expect, but climate change. So earlier in the year we didn't have the rainfall come at the right time, and suddenly in the last 2 weeks, the impact of that 2 weeks rain across the country is yet to be felt. What that means is that most vegetables will be stunted. Farmers will lose watermelons, tomatoes, because that 2 weeks rain cannot sustain it. Things like corn would have stunted growth. It wants sunshine. So in the real sense of it, yeah, they're right. But if government has a lot to play now, so if government comes in with the right support system, not the palliatives, the support system to ensure that the farmers do well, to help them especially in markets, then, and most importantly, reduce post-harvest losses, then we'll be able, to take care of that gap.
Yeah, when you talk about support system, at least we hear of the CBN, doling out cash, the credit facility for farmers and all of that. Is that the kind of support you're talking about?
I think most of the support we are hearing about now is misdirected investment and support.
Okay.
So the farmers, KPMG, PwC, name it, McKinsey, World Bank, FAO, says that farmers need to have markets for their produce. Farmers need to add value. But we're not seeing the investments in cottage processing. So we will keep having the post-harvest losses. So when you are funding the farmers to produce more, and there's no market, the people to take it, they're not there. So what happens? So it's misguided investment. And so we need to get it right.
So if the report is talking about, it's urging rather transformation of food systems to reduce the cost of nutrition, nutritious foods, and increase affordability to ensure healthy diets. Where do we begin to achieve, if we want to achieve that?
So basically, we should not be focusing on the nutrition now. Okay. We should be focusing on availability and affordability.
All right.
Let them first eat. Then we now go into that quality. So right now is we need to focus on how this farm produce gets to market in record time. We need, most importantly, and it's only government that can do this, we need to get the security agencies to stop extorting farmers and farm produce. It's alarming. During the COVID, after the Magboro, they stopped all buses empty, and they still do it till date. So with the load food, they are coming back. They charge them 15,000 per load. So all this cost adds up to non-affordability because you can't afford it once they add 15,000 to it. So the security agencies is a major bottleneck in the value chain that will hinder accessibility and affordability.
What is the role of agricultural research institutes in all of this? Because the point there is that at times like this where we're trying to sit down and fashion a way forward on how to do, how to improve and how to enhance, we believe that they are the ones who will come in with something, with the formula or the magic wand.
The experts are in the research institutes. They are even in the Ministry of Agriculture. Okay. But when it's time to bring together the committees they exempt the people who can do the job. Because when you check,
So it becomes a political thing.
it's a political thing. It's a feel-good project that mostly happens. So
In that case, it means that government may not be very sincere with all of the headlines that we see.
no, so the headlines are sincere.
Okay.
The headlines are sincere.
Okay.
The back end of the headline is what is not sincere. So they actually do it, but are they doing it in the right direction? You know, so the palliatives, for years, the experts in the ministries of Agri and Co know that it's not the seed fertilizer that these farmers need. They will plant without you. They may use bad, low quality, but they will plant. But if they can get a market for what they plant, over 40% of what is produced is lost to post-harvest losses. So if they can prevent that, add value, we need, and the youths of today are looking more into the value addition. So we need to support them. That's what we need to do.
All right, very importantly, African farmer Mogaji, thank you for your time on TVC Breakfast.
Thank you for having
Thank you very much.